Good morning, pals. Welcome back to 100 Miles, 100 Days on a $100 treadmill. I'm Tanya. That's my cat Crookshanks. That's my fat cat Jim. We're all ready to go for a walk today. So come along with me. We walk for about 20 minutes, talk about Disneyland and patches that I'm making for the trip that I'm going to be taking in 24 days. So let's take a walk. All right, pals, you ready to get this going? Here's the countdown. Come on, everybody. Here we go. And let's ramp it up. Welcome back to day 76. Getting up on day 75 was a lot easier than getting up on day 76. And I was like, well, what's up with that? And I came to the conclusion that, a milestone day is a much bigger deal than the day after a milestone day. And the day after a milestone day is a little bit of a letdown. And there's that, because there's that realization, like, I still have to do this 25 more times. The high of, wow, I've done this 75 times kind of dies down that evening, and wake up with the realization that there's still 3.5 weeks more to go. But, still get up and I still do it again. And took me a little bit longer to get things going today, but that's okay. And, last night was super fun to have the 75th mile be live and have you guys join me. And, I think I say every Wednesday, it makes that mile go so much faster to have all you guys with me, and even when everything goes wrong. So thank you guys for, bearing with me last night and hanging out with me while we worked out our technical difficulties, and glad that we figured out that it was just a battery that needed to be changed. And it's those things I keep talking about. It's that I have space in my brain I'm not overwhelmed with the whole thing anymore. So I have space to lock that away in my brain, as to make sure that the battery is 100%, because just plugging it into the computer and expecting it to recharge itself is not going to work. So now I know. Hopefully I will remember that for the future, because the receiver in the camera wouldn't pick up our microphones, and nothing was happening. That was super fun. Another thing I forgot to do, because I got so overwhelmed with the fact that we got started late last night, is that I didn't thank my lovely assistant Chris for his calm nature in just, he's just so good at sort of getting out of my way when I get frustrated, and I know what I need to do, and it's much easier for me to just do the thing rather than try to explain the thing. And he's so good at just getting out of my way and not taking it personally. And thanks, babe. I am really blessed to have a partner that is an actual partner, who actually just is a good coworker, is a good partner, is a good everything. So it's There you go, a little bit sappy. But yeah, so day 76, got 24 more days until Disneyland. Actually, after the live stream last night, I was like, oh, okay, 25 more days. So that means I've got like, what, 5 more live streams to do before we're done? And no, wait, that can't be right because there's 7 days in a week. And how do I parse this out? You guys know I'm not good at math. So I had to look at my calendar, and sure enough, that it's, you know, it's only 3.5 more weeks. So I've got 3 more live streams before I go to Disneyland, and before we go to Disneyland. I keep doing that as if I'm the only person going. Let's take a look and see what Disneyland is doing without us today. And we're going to open the Disneyland app. Yesterday was Lunar New Year, so happy Lunar New Year to those of you who celebrate. Okay, so let's see. Let's click the plus button that's in the middle of the very bottom of the screen. We're going to click Book Lightning Lane Entry. That's at the bottom of that list. And we're going to click over to Tipboard. And we're already on Disneyland, so let's just take a look at what the parks look like today. It has been, there's been quite a lot of weather. It has been raining down in Disneyland. So today, I looked just a little bit earlier, and today is actually kind of a partly cloudy day. So halfway expecting there to be more people in the park today. Maybe they've been waiting a couple of days to get back into the park. So let's just take a quick look and see. Yeah, right away, Astro Orbiter is at 35 minutes. Autopia is at 45 minutes. Autopia is at the same wait as Big Thunder Mountain. That's just crazy. They must have some lanes down. I know Autopia closes lanes down when it rains, so maybe the roads aren't dried up enough yet. There might be puddles and stuff. If there's puddles along the track, they won't open that particular track. But Buzz Lightyear's at 30 minutes. Haunted Mansion's at 45, Indiana Jones at 65. It's a Small World is at 20 minutes. It's a little hefty for them. Matterhorn's at 45. Mickey and Minnie's is at 45. Millennium Falcon is at 45. Roger Rabbit at 55, Space Mountain at 70, Star Tours is at 45 minutes, and Rise of the Resistance is at 75. So looks like it's a pretty healthy Wednesday. One of the things I did want to talk about is if we go back up to the Opera House, what I've been hearing is that just recently, they started doing the switch off between having the Lincoln animatronic, so Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and switching back and forth. Part of the day is the Lincoln, and part of the day is Walt Disney. So the way to find out when those show times are, because they're still not yet just like swapping back and forth. But if you're on your Tipboard and you click View Details on the Opera House, it'll tell you that it's open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. today. And you have to kind of drill down into this a little bit. So in the details, it'll tell you down at the bottom here, Walt Disney: A Magical Life, and the Disneyland story presenting Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. So under Walt Disney A Magical Life, there is a link to click on here, and that'll bring you to the details of when the Walt Disney animatronic is being presented. So right now, he's running from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then we could have clicked on the one for Mr. Lincoln, but it is also in the details of the Walt Disney one. So we can click on that Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and that takes us to another page where we get the detailed hours of 8 a.m. to 1:30. So right now, as it stands, the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is running from 8 a.m. to 1:30, and then Walt Disney Magical Life runs from 2 to 8. So we've got Mr. Lincoln in the morning and Mr. Disney in the afternoon. I just wanted to kind of bring that to your guys' attention because I was seeing where there's a sign outside of the Opera House that tells you, go to the app to find out hours. And it's not intuitive as to where to go to find that. So that's how you do it. Let's see. Let's go back in there and we'll go over and see what DCA is looking like. So we're going to change parks. And we'll take a quick look that Goofy's Sky School is at 60 minutes. Guardians of the Galaxy is at 110, with Lightning Lane being sold out as of 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're getting pretty used to that. Incredicoaster is at 45 minutes. Everything else looks just kind of hefty. Jumpin' Jellyfish has a 20-minute wait. Little Mermaid has a 35-minute wait. I mean, we are also looking at things at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when just before things start to kind of really die down for the afternoon, a lot of people start heading back to their hotel rooms for naps and lunch and things like that. So you can get times where you've got, between like 2 and 4, you can get some good discounts on rides, but it's not like a hard and fast rule. You can have that possibility. Mater's is at 30 minutes. Monsters is at 60. Radiator Springs is at 105. Soarin' Over California is at 85, and Toy Story Mania is at 65. So it's busy in the park today. Like I said, it's kind of what I would have expected because of having those several days of rain, and it wasn't just a little like light drizzle that us Oregonians would go out walking in, but it was the kind of weather we would still go out walking in, but it wasn't an insignificant amount of rain, and so it doesn't surprise me that people would be returning to the parks today now that it has stopped raining. I think I've rambled on quite enough, so let's go ahead and see where I'm at with those patches. All right, pals, so today we're going to finish up the Pluto Patch. We're going to go from this to this. I just forgot to film an intro, so now through the magic of the camera, you will see the finished product.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the last bit of the embroidery here. So I realize I've been skipping over quite a lot of it, and it's mostly just because Pluto feels like he needed outlines. And his tail is going to come out right about here. And if you remember in the beginning, we talked about how his tail had line weight. So it's thicker at the bottom than it is going to be at the end. And I'll show you how we're going to create that with these stitches. Another thing you'll see is when I'm stitching, I'm keeping the where the needle comes out, keeping that to the inside of the curve of whichever, I kept it to the inside of this curve. I'm keeping it to the inside of this curve as I'm going this way. That way the thread keeps itself curved rather than just looking like a bunch of straight stitches. And I think that's probably, let's take a look at that. I think that's a pretty good sized tail there. So let's call that the end of his tail. And we're going to come back just straight over that same stitch. And as we start to get closer to his body, I'm going to just let the stitch get a little bit farther away, so I'm creating a stitch that is side by side rather than on top of each other. And this is just going to slowly create a thicker line. You can see how that line is getting a little bit thicker at the base of his tail. And we're just going to do that one more time going the opposite direction, possibly even two more times. Probably two more times. So I'm going to start at the base of his tail again and go back out. Again, just right next to the stitch that we've already created there. So just a thread's width at a time, making it a little bit thicker. Just to build that up. And this way we have a lot of control over the weight of that line because we're just doing it a tiny little bit at a time. Because I probably don't want the thickness of the base of his tail to go very far out. You can see already that that's just creating a nice little bit of thickness right there. And I'm going to come up on the other side, the opposite side of the tail, and work my way back down. Get a couple of these spots where I can see a little bit of the purple showing through. But there you can see that his tail has a little bit more weight at the bottom to it than it does at the top. So, you know, nothing too too supremely fancy, but that's what we're gonna do there and call it good. Tie a knot back here, and then we'll cut Pluto out, and I think we are done with the Pluto patch. And there's our Pluto. I think it turned out pretty cute. Now we'll move on to his pal Mickey.
And there it is, 1 mile. Good job, pals. All right, congratulations. Good job today, pals. Thanks again for joining me for another 100 miles, 100 days on a $100 treadmill. I'm Tanya. That's my cat, Crookshanks. Here's my ears. And we'll see you back here again tomorrow. Bye, pals. This situated a little bit better here. Oh man, I gotta get on the treadmill at 7 o'clock at night. Let's just start that over again. Actually,